Let's take a brief moment to dive in a little deeper on some of these numbers here. So I'm going to pull up one of our campaigns. Let's pull up the Beanwater Brewery again, since that's the kind of the reference campaign. Now, there's a couple of things that you're going to see on the dashboard itself that may or may not make sense to you depending on your experience with advertisements. The most important number that we want to know to get started with, just from the top down, is we want to know how many people saw it. So that would be verified impressions. How many people do we know actually looked at our billboard or were in the vicinity of our billboard to where they could potentially see it? And that being the most important thing to us to start with, that's why it's right here in the middle, verified impressions. You can't miss it. So with that verified impressions number, we can do a lot of things. But think of the verified impressions count as being kind of our baseline. This is our initial, it's our starting data set. With this is our population. So anybody that passes by these billboards, that's our data set, that's our audience. And with that audience, we can do a couple of different things. Now, the most important thing after knowing who the audience is knowing where they're going. So that's really the key here in terms of what our conversion tracking system is designed to do. So therefore, we put unique conversions that are verified down here as well. So in the middle though, you'll notice there's total estimated impressions. And it's very important to have that because our data sets are only based on a subset of the American population. The US population is roughly 330 million people, around 350 to 370 in the next 10 years is what we're kind of projecting. And we'll find out. We'll find out what that is in the next census. But for now, we know exactly what we have and we know what's in the area around our advertisements. Based on the US population data, based on our own data that we collect every single day, we're able to get a pretty good picture of how big our data set is versus how big the US population is. And with that, we can kind of extrapolate and estimate. For anybody that's not super math inclined, basically what that means is if I have 1 out of every 10 devices in my system, I multiply by 10, just so I can know what it would look like if I were to have every device in my system. Now, to be clear, the verified impressions count and the verified unique impressions counts are where we're going to source any of our IP addresses or unique identifiers. And that's why we put verified unique impressions up here in the data feed as well. So being able to give you all that gives us a pretty good picture of how we can kind of monitor conversions, build audiences, and then maybe do a little bit more with IP retargeting, understanding demographics, and so on.